people.
Con una orden. Pues como raras.
Y tratar.
In 1994, visionaries at the Women Empowering Communication Conference asked the following question: what does a snapshot of gender in one ordinary news day look like? This question became the cornerstone of the Global Media Monitoring Project, the world's largest and longest-running longitudinal research and advocacy initiative on gender in the news media.
15 years after its initial report with the participation of 71 countries in 1995, the fourth Global Media Monitoring Project has grown to include the participation of 108 countries.
Why should we monitor news media? For two reasons. First, the news remains one of our most important sources of information. When we see something on the news, we tend to accept it as truth, as a credible, objective source of information. Second, not only does the news have the power to influence our own personal opinions, but it also has the power to influence and change local and foreign policy agendas.
When we consider the power and influence that the news media has, who and what appears in the news and how they are portrayed matters. Who and what is left out is equally important. As we will see, the world reported in the news is mostly male, which means the societal underpinnings of gender inequality and discrimination against women are reinforced through the media.
This tendency is extremely difficult, but not impossible to change. The purpose of the Global Media Monitoring Project, since its inception, has been to contribute to that change.
The project relies on the enthusiastic and committed voluntary participation of thousands of monitors around the world who are committed to such change. On November 10, 2009, they were armed with pencils, media monitoring guides, and coding grids in order to observe and analyze their news media. Their research covered 16,734 news items, 20,769 news personnel, and 35,543 total news subjects. This is what they found.
In the first place, only 24% of the people heard or read about in print, radio, and television news are female. In contrast, 76% of the people in the news are male.
While women are inching close to parity as individuals providing popular opinion, their presence in the news as experts and spokespersons remains disproportionately low.
As for news reporters and presenters, the overall percentage of news stories reported by women is 37%. Men outnumber women as reporters in all news topics, especially in stories about politics, crime, and the economy.
Only 6% of stories highlight issues of gender inequality. The fact that so few stories address this issue implies enormous missed opportunities in the news to contribute to raising public awareness and debate.
When women are actually present in the news, there is an overwhelming tendency to misrepresent them by reinforcing gender stereotypes. The Global Media Monitoring Project has 4 ways of categorizing news stories with regards to gender stereotypes.
Blatant stereotypes are defined as those that present women and men in stereotypical roles, such as women as sex objects or men as strong entrepreneurs.
For example, this news story from Bangladesh. 5th grade girl delivers child in Banshkali. The sensationalist title suggests that the young girl is sexually promiscuous, when in reality her pregnancy is a result of rape by her teacher. The crime and failure of the authorities to protect the child and to take the proper actions against the teacher could have been the focus of this news story. Instead, the article reinforces stereotypes about girls as promiscuous in a society where access to education has historically been skewed in favor of boys. Furthermore, the article, by providing personal information about the girl, puts her and her family at risk of further social castigation.
Subtle stereotypes are not always easily identifiable. These stereotypes reinforce notions of femininity or masculinity in ways that normalize them.
Take this news story from Bulgaria. Local elections in southwest Bulgaria. In this article, only male electoral candidates are presented, only male opinions about the candidates are cited, and only men are photographed. The exclusion of women as sources in the article normalizes the idea that politics and public life is a field strictly for men, and gives the impression that there are neither women voters nor candidates. Although men still dominate the political sphere, this is far from the truth. Women's movements have led to a dramatic increase of women in Bulgarian public life. But this article both devalues and disregards women's participation and contribution to the political process.
Gender-blind stories and missed opportunities are those that could have been enriched and expanded by including a wider range of viewpoints or by shedding light on different implications for men and women.
For example, this news story from Mexico. Growth will reach 9% in India with reforms. The article does not mention how such reforms have proven to disproportionately affect poor and working women by increasing the burdens of social reproductive responsibilities. It focuses on reforms to attract foreign direct investment through increased competitiveness, but ignores the fact that the low pay for workers, especially for women, is one of the key factors leading businesses to set up operations there. To ignore the exploitation of women's labor and the gendered nature of cuts to public services is to offer an extremely narrow interpretation of the data and miss an opportunity to raise awareness and encourage debate.
Lastly, gender-aware stories are those that challenge stereotypes and prompt debate on gender issues.
For example, a radio news story in Nicaragua reported the increasing participation of men in activities that were once considered the responsibility of women. This news story adequately reflects changing gender roles and cultural norms, while at the same time challenges gender stereotypes.
Unfortunately, only 6% of news stories challenge gender stereotypes, while 46% of stories reinforce them.
The news continues to portray a world in which men outnumber women in almost all occupational categories, especially in the professions. For example, 69% of health professionals, 83% of legal professionals, and 90% of scientists in the news are male. Out of the 25 occupational categories, women outnumber men in only 2, as homemakers at 74% and as students at 54%. Thus, the world depicted through the news is one where women are virtually invisible as active participants in work outside of the home.
Related to this is the fact that women are 4 times more likely to be identified by their family status than men. This reinforces the stereotype that women are dependent, rather than independent individuals with roles, rights, and responsibilities in the broader society beyond the household.
Women's presence in the news has increased 6 percentage points since the year 2000. But at the current rate of change, it will take more than 40 years to reach parity. However, in each dimension of the news measured by the Global Media Monitoring Project, instances of exemplary journalism do exist, showing that gender-balanced and gender-aware journalism is not only compatible with, but also intrinsic to, high-quality journalism.
Here's how you can get involved.